We're coming to you from outside the Western Cape High Court, where this morning the judge heard first the application for the urgency of the matter that was brought by the Special Action Committee for Education regarding the more than 2,400 posts that will be lost as a result of financial shortfall within the Department of Education in the Western Cape. Now we're going to get right into it with the people who brought the application, and we're speaking to Mr. Terence Smith, who's the chairperson for the Special Action Committee on Education. Mr. Smith, thank you so very much for your time this morning. First of all, why did you bring this application?
Well, let me just start with explaining who we are. We are a civil society advocacy group, particularly interested in education. And we brought this application to prevent or to get government to reconsider the removal of 2,407 teacher posts, which would have a major impact on the quality of education at especially our poorer schools, and the future of our kids.
Yeah. Well, as we heard there in court, it was public knowledge by August that that's the decision made by the Department of Education. Why only now the application?
Well, as I did in my introduction, as a civil society group, we represent the public interest. And our membership consists of members of the public, but in particular retired principals, retired teachers, people involved in the education sector from ECD, early childhood development, right through to adult education. So our interest is broad, and we were aware and of course made various representation to the department to reconsider this decision, especially in light of the fact that other provinces have found alternative measures or ways of avoiding cutting teacher posts. We engage with other stakeholders, as the judge pointed out. We're not directly involved in the education sector as teachers or educators, but we hold an interest in education. So we're aware of the impending cutbacks, and we engage with other civil society organizations, specifically those in the education sector, like SATU and the various unions through the membership of COSATU, and other civil society organizations, hoping that by combining our efforts we would get the department to reconsider. There were various engagements and meetings. Action plans were developed, but the unions were obviously tied up in the various structures with regard to employment protocols and disputes and so on. And they entered into a particular process, and we were part of that process until that process was deadlocked through the NEDLAC deliberations. And when we saw that that wasn't happening, and the fact is that tomorrow these teacher posts would be thing of the past. So we felt we had to take some urgent actions to at least delay the decision until the department considered our position, which we felt the department was acting irrationally in removing those 2,407 posts, which is the beginning, as they said, of a 3-year cycle of budget cuts. So that's why we brought the application on an urgent basis.
You partially answered that. The question I want to go to next is what do you ultimately want the court to do?
Well, we want the court to place a moratorium on the department's cutback until they've heard our arguments, and if that matter doesn't get resolved, hopefully the court can make a decision. We believe that this is a constitutional matter as well. It infringes on the constitutional rights of children, educators, and it's much broader than just a labour dispute matter.
Yeah. And you say it will affect poorer schools and poorer communities the most.
Yeah. Well, already classrooms are quite large. Poorer schools can't afford HGB posts, so the only option they would have is to cut back on key subjects. Already, as you know, the country rates one of the lowest in the world in maths and science.